All right, we'll come back to that with my panel a bit later. But to a more serious topic now, the Albanese government was today utterly humiliated after the US Defence Secretary took the rare step of issuing a statement to deny he'd held a meeting with Richard Marles. Now, Marles, the Deputy Prime Minister, had boasted on social media about his high-level meetings with Trump officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance, US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He reportedly didn't have these meetings locked in when he flew to Washington. So when we went to air last night, it seemed like his visit had been a success. But cracks started to show when the press conference Marles had scheduled was suddenly cancelled. And then today, something even more astonishing. The US Defence Department issued a statement to say there had been no meeting between Hegseth and Marles. A US Defence official said in a statement, "We can confirm there was not a meeting. It was a happenstance encounter." No meeting, a happenstance encounter, extraordinary. So it wasn't a case of the press conference being cancelled, it's that there wasn't even a formal official meeting. Now, the Pentagon later issued another statement saying that Secretary Hegseth welcomed the opportunity to meet in person with Marles for the third time this year, and that their meeting at the White House on Tuesday was coordinated in advance. Coordinated being an interesting word, but the damage had been done, and Shadow Defence Minister Angus Taylor demanded answers in Parliament today.
Was this a meeting with Secretary Hegseth or just a photo opportunity? And was there an outcome beyond the photo?
Presumably those opposite think that the photos that have been published were magically generated by AI.
And Marles accused the opposition of not supporting the US relationship, which of course isn't true. Defence expert Peter Jennings said on this show last night that he suspected the talks hadn't gone well.
I understand that really what they had was more a photo opportunity than a discussion. And then Marles cancels his press conference afterwards, Sharri. And one thing I can tell you about the Albanese government is they like their press conferences. So cancelling it says to me that whatever Marles heard, it wasn't positive.
But it appears it was even worse than Jennings predicted, because it's likely Hegseth wanted to make a point through his public statement denying there'd been a meeting. The US-Australia relationship seems to be on shaky ground. Albanese and Trump have no personal relationship. And part of the problem is Albanese's refusal to increase defence spending, even though Europe has committed to 5% of its GDP on defence. And Australia still sits at not even 2%. And again, part of the problem is that Albanese has been cozying up to China, critical of Israel, and weak on national security. The latest example is the revelation that he chose not to list the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organisation, despite Home Affairs advising him to do so. The Herald reports that Australia's Home Affairs Department wanted Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps listed as terrorists in the first 12 months of Labor's first term, over a year before the Islamic Republic recruited local criminal networks to launch anti-Semitic acts and foment tension in Australia. Well, Susan Lee asked the Prime Minister about this in Question Time today.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister told the House that, quote, "We listen to intelligence agencies, we don't try to second-guess them." But this morning it was revealed that the Home Affairs Department advised the government to list Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organisation more than 2 years ago. Prime Minister, when this national security advice was received, on what basis did the government reject it?
And in keeping with his practice of avoiding accountability and transparency, Albanese did not answer her question. And it led to this point of order from Susan Lee.
A point of order on relevance, if I may, Mr Speaker. This is a question about the government's decision to reject national security advice 2 years ago. The Prime Minister is not in order.
And even after that, he refused to explain to Australians why he ignored national security advice to list the IRGC as a terrorist organisation. He can't explain it because he must know he acted recklessly and irresponsibly, jeopardising the safety of Australians, particularly the Jewish community. And to add insult to injury, after refusing to properly answer questions on national security in question time, Albanese boasted about his achievement in getting cheaper beer.
But we've even got your back if you are not working on the weekend, but you're at the local pub. Because one of the things we've done is frozen the draft beer excise, so you and your mates can have a cheaper pint this weekend.
And then they were all laughing. Is it any wonder President Trump doesn't want to meet with Albanese? He's more keen to speak about cheaper beer than national security. The moral confusion of this government was again highlighted further today when Dave Sharma pointed out that Penny Wong had hauled in the Israelis more than the Iranians. The government summoned Israel's ambassador on 3 occasions since 2023, since October 7, 2023, and summoned Iran's ambassador just twice, according to Sharma. And it has taken hostile moves against Israel rather than being grateful for its intelligence cooperation, which, as I reported last night, helped to unravel the Iranian terror plot. Now, Dave Sharma says that rather than focusing their attention on the sources of much misery and conflict in the Middle East, Iran and its terror proxies, the government has spent most of its time scrutinising and criticising Israel's conduct in a war it did not start and did not want. Sharma told Sky News reporter Oscar Godsell the fact that DFAT has called in the ambassador for Israel, a fellow liberal democracy with whom we enjoy long-standing and friendly ties, more times than the ambassador for Iran, a country that has been revealed as orchestrating attacks against Australian citizens on Australian soil, shows the completely inverted moral logic of this government. And there have been too many examples of this inverted moral logic, as Sharma puts it, where the Albanese government has cemented relationships with countries in the axis of evil and unforgivably alienated our long-standing allies.